Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to briefly talk about Wilds and my thoughts on the beta release. I have played it and I'm still playing it and I'm happy to say that I'm actually having a lot of fun. Lots of people have been streaming and giving their thoughts on it, so I wanted to put my 2 cents as well. Like I said, I had a lot of fun playing the game, but I also have some concerns. Concerns others have voiced as well, and I think it's important we talk about them so that the beta test can serve its purpose, and some, if not all of these things, can be improved before the full release of the game in February. Full disclaimer, I just want to get out of the way, I'm not hating on the game at all. I think the devs are brilliant, and we're definitely in for a treat with Wild. So please don't take these notes of constructive criticism negatively. Now that's out of the way, the first thing I wanted to point out is character creation. I think was way more detailed than Worlds. So many more options. I really liked the route that they're taking. Just letting the players customize a lot more. I think there's a lot of artistic expression there, and I really love that. I'm all for that. But one of the first pointers that I have or just concerns that I think could definitely be improved is the menus and the options. I think that the menus and the options are very confusing and convoluted when it comes to selecting and finding the desired options. Like character creation buttons and options were not intuitive at all. Everything felt kind of hidden. I had to really dig in there to find the options that I wanted. It wasn't just like a list and just, hey, here you go, this is what you gotta do. I had to like backtrack so many times because I kept getting into the wrong place, the place I didn't want to get. And like I said, they do have a lot more options. It is really cool. It's just it was definitely not a seamless experience, I would say, creating my character. It was just a lot more work trying to find the desired setting. Another concern that I had is performance, and this is a big one. A lot of people have talked about it. At least on the PS5, the performance does feel very underwhelming. As soon as I booted the game, I put it on performance mode right away. Didn't even think about putting it in graphics mode, just performance, wait straight to performance mode, and the game still felt like it was lacking a lot. Sometimes it felt like I was hitting 50 frames, and sometimes it would get to like 30 in certain parts. There's an option to do 120 hertz, but that being turned on didn't really seem to help. Um, I have heard that the beta build is an older build, like the one they showcased at Gamescom. And if that is true, and the release build will be closer to what we saw at the Scarlet Forest showcase stream, then there's still hope for sure. It's just a little hard to grasp why they would release an unfinished build of the game and expect to convince people to pre-order. Just kind of doesn't make any sense to me. Um, Lastly, my last concern really is just clunkiness. This is another thing that people have complained about. It's just that it feels pretty clunky. And this doesn't have to do with performance really. My first playthrough of Monster Hunter World, was on a super old PC that could barely run the game. So I know what it was like to play on super low resolution. But even then, World never felt clunky to me. It felt grounded and stable, whereas Wilds feels really clunky and ragdolly. Not sure if that makes any sense. I don't really feel like I have a solid control of my hunter. I turned off motion blur off before I even started playing the game and still felt like all over the place. I don't know if maybe adjusting the camera speed would help, but it's just something to test and see. But so far, it definitely feels like very shaky, the gameplay. I don't know if that makes sense, but it doesn't feel super grounded like Worlds. And I will put like some differences on screen for you guys to see. World in the training ground versus Wilds, and you guys can see for yourself. But hopefully this is something that can improve in. Again, these are just pointers, things that I think that the devs can definitely take a look at and maybe fine tune before the full release of the game. And that way we can all benefit from this beta experience and find out what needs to be worked on. And so those are my final thoughts really. Overall, I think the game was pretty fun. I think definitely there's a lot of content, which I'm happy. Some of the changes for sure that don't feel as big as I think a lot of people thought they were gonna be. I think a lot of people, saw Monster Hunter Wilds as the next huge step forward in, the next big generation of Monster Hunter. And to be honest, it definitely does feel like a continuation, but not so much as a definite upgrade. There's some things that I think that they've just improved, and a lot of quality of life, definitely things that I think they've been wanting to do for a long time, even since back in World days, like the Leviathan exoskeleton. They couldn't figure that out in World. They wanted to put a Diacris in, but they couldn't because they couldn't figure out the Leviathan exoskeleton. Now they did. Now they have Balahara and other Leviathans, so that's really exciting. Another thing that they improved is obviously seamless transition. That's one of their biggest selling points of the game. That definitely make it seem more open world. And I do think that they're taking advantage of the next generation hardware, but definitely doesn't feel like that huge of a difference between World. And I mean, it doesn't mean that Wilds is bad. It just also is a testament to how good World was. I mean, it is an extremely polished game. Um, to this day, I mean, I think years from now, people are still going to be playing World because of how well polished it is and how grounded it feels. So it's not so much a bash of Wilds; it's more of just a praise to World and how strong it was. So that even being put up next to the newer release, the newer generation of Monster Hunter, it's still holding its own. Um, Again, when it comes to performance on the PS5, definitely wasn't what I expected after seeing the Scarlet Forest showcase. I think a lot of people were having doubts and fears that it was going to be awful 30 FPS, kind of like what they showed at Gamescom. And that's what it felt like to play the beta. I'm going to be honest. It felt like very clunky. Frames were all over the place, and again, I have a PS5 and I play on a 4K OLED TV, so everything should be there in place. When it comes to settings, there wasn't anything that you could tweak much. When it comes to PS5, it's just either performance or graphics. I chose performance, and it just really felt like the Gamescom build. That being said, if this really was something closer to what people played at Gamescom, then there's still hope that the official full release of the game in February will be more stable, better graphics, 60 frames per second consistently, less clunkiness. Because when people were watching the Gamescom footage, they said, "Hey, this looks really, really low quality. It looks 720p, really bad, 30 FPS." But then when they showed the Scarlet Forest showcase, we were all like, "Oh wow, like this looks so much smoother. It looks like what we really expected from the beginning." And that's when a lot of people's hopes skyrocketed, mine included. So it's not the end of the world that this build is really clunky and more like the Gamescom build, because there was a clear difference between the Gamescom build and the build that they used to show the Scarlet Forest. And if the full release of the game is more, like I said, more like what we saw with the Scarlet Forest reveal, then I think we're in for a treat for sure. I just can't wait to see that for sure. So again, really, really fun experience. I think that if you have a PlayStation, or I think the Steam release for the beta comes out on the 30th, so tomorrow. I think that everybody should go and play it. Have fun. It's really fun. I think like seeing the people in the community gather together, and especially seeing people in the lobby there, and you don't have to go to a gathering hall like right away. You just see them in the camp there. I think that's super cool. And yeah, so far it's been so fun, like really fun. And I just really hope that Capcom can take this opportunity to take feedback from the beta, because that is the point of a beta, in my opinion. That's why they call it a beta test. We're testing to see what needs improvement and what could be done better. And they do have a full 4 months before the full release of the game. So yep, those are my thoughts. I'll keep the gameplay in the background playing a little bit, just so you guys can see a little bit more. I played some Charge Play and Switch Axe. I am going to be doing live streaming of this game when it does come out, so definitely be in tune for that. Check that out. We're gonna be doing charge blade, switch axe. Mainly, there's two for the first like playthrough, and then ultimately we'll do every weapon, right? Like we'll clear the game with every single weapon, like we're doing right now with World. But yeah, tune in for sure, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you liked it, definitely hit that like button, subscribe, and just be in the be in the lookout for more Monster Hunter Wilds content in the future.